And we're live. Hello, citizens, and, well, not welcome back, but welcome to the Comm Relay. What is the Comm Relay, you ask? Comm Relay is an idea that one of my viewers actually came up with. Uh, and basically, the whole point is to give you, my community, the space to talk about topics in Star Citizen. So, the way it's going to work is that you join the Armory Discord, you hop into the waiting room, and then I'm going to pick you up from there for your call. And then you have 10 minutes to talk about the topic of the day. Today's topic is distribution centers because we had quite a lot of information on that in the last 2-3 weeks from CIG. So I think it's a good opportunity to talk about it. We already have a few callers lined up, so I think I'm just gonna start picking people up because let's get this done. Anyway, I hope you guys enjoy. Actually, while I'm starting, for scheduling stuff on the Comm Relay, I realized that right now is not the best time for all of my audience. Worry not. We are going to have. So this is going to be every 2 weeks kind of a show, and we're going to have one slot at this time right now, which is 10 a.m. Central European time and very late in the night for US folk. And then we're going to have a second slot on in 2 weeks, which is going to be around 1 p.m. US Central Time, something like that, so the US folk can get in and call us. Anyway, without further ado, I'm going to pick the first caller. It's going to be Skipster. I hope you're ready. I'm just going to put your name in there, and I'm going to drag you in. 3 a.m. Oh, is it 3 a.m. for you right now, Joshua? If it is, then I very much appreciate that you're here, but also go to sleep, sir. So let me get that caller name in there. There we go, Skipster. Did I spell that right? I did. That doesn't happen very often. All right, let me drag him in. And mute and unmute. All right, Skipster, welcome. I hope you're awake and you're here.
Yes, good morning. For good morning for me, good afternoon and good evening. Wherever you are in the world of Star Citizen.
Yes, it is. Yeah, exactly like you said it. Welcome on the show. I am starting the timer. And distribution centers. What are your thoughts about distribution centers?
Oh, thank you very much. This is either going to go really well and I'm going to fill the whole 10 minutes. It's like standing on a stage, isn't it? You've got 10 minutes.
That's the whole point of this thing.
And not cause any controversy, which I'm not here to do. I just want to say one thing. So some of you may know me as Scrapyard Wars, especially on Twitch. I have opinions. I've been a long-time supporter of Star Citizen. And my family play, and I've made great friends, and it's all about making those friends. And anything and everything I say is hopefully towards making it better. Yes, I've got concerns in respect to the project, as many do, but I believe conversation, hence I'm here, make things better. But distribution centers, okay. So I think the idea was to, ask a question, but my point really, which will either fill the 10 minutes or won't, is it's a great idea. We need this. Some of the players I see who are playing on their own, you can see them on the streams and they send me messages and we chat. They're finding that communicating in the verse, they're not using they're using Discord, but they're reaching out within the in-game systems, which they desperately want to work, and they're finding that they're not getting the response that they expected. People aren't speaking back to them. It's quite insular. And I think the distribution centers are a good opportunity to actually get people to play within the initial launch, the events, the parcel delivery services, etc. But hopefully CIG will expand on it to a point where they can encourage in other game modes, which they've said they will do. But my point, if I can manage to put it into words, is to bring people not into orgs, because there are good and bad orgs, but to encourage that cooperative gameplay and use the ships, share those resources, all the services they've said they're going to give us, where we can loan our ships, we can bring our AIs in, we can bring our friends in. Because I think a lot of them are missing out on those opportunities even now.
Yeah, I think that's correct. So I'm going to sort of pick off on something that you said. So what do you think right now is the main reason players in Star Citizen, like random players, like you meet a bunch of randoms on a server, what is the main reason people don't cooperate? Like, what is the reason people will just pass each other up? Because I agree with you. Distribution centers are supposed to bring people together. Even more audio levels on my end. Okay, I'm gonna turn the dial up a few more degrees. How's that?
I'm gonna be careful because to say one thing about one person is never right, and it's not just a society nowadays. It's just wrong. So say that one person's reason for not joining in with others or finding it difficult isn't the same, is it? Because there are all different types of reasons people don't join or work together. I think entering into a group is difficult for people because they worry that they're not going to be included. Now, the only way I can put it is, and we're not, a lot of people aren't even trying this, but you can join groups and you can find that orgs we're talking about. It's a slow process. There's always those people who are at the top. There's always those who are full and bubbly. There are always those who are the creatives. There are always those that actually want to bring you in and want to include you. But somewhere through that process, it goes wrong because the structure isn't there to actually bring in and make those people feel valued, for a better word. So if the communication systems can be improved and the game services in the distribution center can be tiered towards encouraging that communication as a group, I don't like the reward systems in some of the games, but something, then that would actually help to overcome them being frightened of actually taking part. Frightened's not the right word, but frightened within taking part in it. Yeah.
And I actually think what Joshua said in the chat about having options of accessibility is also kind of one of the main things that Star Citizen needs to do. But sort of to steer us back to distribution centers. So I'm sure you have seen the ISC and SC Live on it. So CIG have shown off how they want to have multiple missions going at one location. And they said that they're going to have, I don't remember if they set an exact number of distribution centers, but I think they said they're going to be multiple of them. So how do you think that's going to work? Having multiple missions running in the same spot, whether that's going to be, non-combat missions or combat missions or both at the same time. How do you think that's going to go?
Yeah, okay. I think they said 13, and they even said, I think yesterday in the stream I watched, maybe some abandoned ones eventually, not moons, just for anybody who didn't watch it because of the logistic issues with the engine at the moment, but maybe one day. I think it's going to be problematic. I think it's going to be problematic initially. It's all this theory crafting, isn't it? Star Citizen in a lot of ways, and I think new players don't see this, it's actually, it's a test. It's an alpha. They're trying out new ideas. Some work, some don't work. And they're going to throw all sorts of things into the mixing pot to see if it works. What I'd hope is that we end up, it's going to be a mess initially, but as these ideas come through, hopefully some will stick, as they have in Arena Commander, and we'll see it growing where they can work together in those different zones. How they identify and separate those game zones, well, that'll be a challenge. But yeah, I'm all for it. I think it'll be good. I think it'll be done. I think it's going to take time, as all things in the game do. And it's down to the technology. A lot of it, which we're waiting for, and lots have been promised this year, and they need to be showing that to complete the tasks in the distribution centers.
Plus, I think. The way they showed off distribution centers, they are massive, because it's like a massive overground facility, but you also have kind of the lobby area, but you also have sort of the massive underground underneath it. So I think it's entirely possible for 2, 3, even more people to be doing a mission in a distribution center and not even run into each other. That's what I think is.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, many of you would have seen Ready Player One. We all go and you think of VR, and where they go into the area and it's all there and all the players are running around. Yeah, actually, I've got this image in my head that it's like that, and we've got people walking across and through the areas, and they're driving their vehicles through, and they're going off to do something else with their mates, and they're meeting there, and saying, "Come on," as we do in the space stations and everywhere. Come on, we're going to load up our ship. We're going to go off and do this. or we're going to go over to this part of the complex, and we're going to actually take part in this today because another group's asked us, or someone wants to experience this. Oh yeah, I think it's going to be epic. Don't get me wrong. I think it's going to be epic.
No,
Not all
agreed.
about
I can't
problems.
wait.
Yeah.
I can't wait to A, get my hands on this as Evocati, B, to actually see it in the verse with actual players and see how the whole thing plays out. But with that being said, we have other callers waiting. Thank you very much for joining us. I hope to see you on some other shows as well. I'm now going to drag you back up to the waiting room, and I'm going to drag in the next guest. Like I said, thank you very much.
Pleasure. Thank you very much, and see you all in the verse.
Yep. Thank you. Have a great day.
And you. Bye bye.
All right, so that was our first caller. First caller on the first show. That's a place of honor. Someone could make a plaque or something on this, or maybe we should do like a badge or something. Like, oh, you were the first caller on the first show. Anyway, our next caller is going to be G-Nub. So G-Nub, this is your call to wake up while I type in your name on the thing, and then I'm going to drag you in. So G-Nub, I hope you're ready. I'm going to reset the timer and drag in and unmute. G-Nub, welcome back, because you were here for the dry run last week. Welcome back.
Yeah.
I hope you're doing great.
Thank you for having me. Oh, absolutely. How are you?
I'm doing great. Thank you for coming again. I know that it's a bit of an awkward time for you, but yeah, let's get right into it. Distribution centers, your feelings, your thoughts, your fears, your concerns.
My fears and concerns. Fears and concerns are the usual Star Citizen stuff. You'll be down on the planet or wherever, stuck in a room. You can't get out. Stuck in the claustrophobia. Oh my god! But no, I'm more excited than anything. I look forward to the potential of it. I like the idea of extra gameplay that we can do. Amusingly enough, I'm looking forward to the more mundane and boring aspects of it. Like they said, like deliver one box from one side of the center to the other, and they showed these sort of floating carts which you could load up and then sort of walk along down these large walkways and stuff. I'm looking forward to seeing the scale of it and seeing just how they handle the boring stuff more than the exciting stuff.
Yeah. I mean, to be fair, I think
I can't wait to explore.
Yeah. Like I said, what they said about, it's going to be a mission to deliver boxes from one building to another or one room to another, that's a perfect new player mission, in my opinion. Because you have to fly there, and
Absolutely.
B, you actually don't have to leave the area to complete the mission. But yeah,
that's right. It's going to be good. I like the fact that it'll all be localized, and you may not need a ship to do it. Because I'm thinking more about in the real long distant future, where people will join the verse, and maybe they don't have a ship, or maybe they just have like a very cheap starting pack, and it just gives you more options to make money to get off that first rung, sort of thing. I think that's very cool. But yeah, I once again, I'm also excited about how players will interact with each other with these new systems and stuff, with the trespassing and whether or not you have a permit to even be in the area and all that sort of stuff. And is there an opportunity for piracy? Is there an opportunity for PvP? And definitely working together as well. I don't know. It's exciting because there's a lot of potential for variety there.
Yeah, I mean, they did show off that combat aspect of distribution centers. I'm not sure if it's gonna drive PvP the way they would like. I think it's more gonna be like very one-sided raid mechanics, essentially.
Yeah.
But we will see. Maybe if they do like a counter mission, like if a distribution center is being attacked, like they have it with SPK right now, they have it with Comm relays. So if they have that counter mission, that could very much be the emergent gameplay that CIG wants so much.
Yeah, no, that'll be cool, because I've always had a lot of fun with Correa as well. Like either going in to wipe it. Not that I would ever commit any criminal acts in the game, but I've always enjoyed going in for the hacking side, and then also trying to go in and get players. I'm never very successful, but it's always good fun turning up and like just trying to get that whole little loop done. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see if we can get that in the distribution centers as well, because yeah, anything that involves players is always it's just so random, like and pretty exciting because you never know if people are going to run away or whether they're actually going to fight you to the death or whatever. So that's always cool.
And I mean, I
yeah,
always say that we're all law-abiding citizens until the crime stat system decides that we're not. So you never know.
That's right.
You never know.
Yeah, that's it. I think another thing that I will be interested in is how much I can abuse the border systems of the facility itself, because I like to fly ships close to things and potentially not crash into them. So I'll be interested to see how far I can, or how close I can take a Merlin down towards the lobby and around the various roads or buildings around the outside. See if maybe we can see the racing guys from other groups put together a track that I can pretend to try and follow and all the rest of it. So yeah, there's lots of potential there, and I'm very excited. Very excited.
I didn't think of that actually, but I imagine they're probably gonna have an armistice zone, like a soft armistice around it. I think that's what I think is gonna happen. But I don't think they're gonna have like the flight ceiling limits they have around cities, because they don't have that around outposts. So I think you might be able to like fly in. Plus, I mean, in ISC they said like, oh, you can't get vehicles in there. There's bollards and stuff.
I don't know. There's a way. There's always a way. If the vehicle isn't on the ground and the entrance is that big, and say Merlin's only this big, there's a way in, and I'm going to do it. I'm going to get in there and see if I can fly in and out.
When they said it, I was like, I give it 5 minutes. I give it 5 minutes, including the flight time, for someone to figure out how to get a vehicle in there.
Yeah, no, damn right. I mean, you've seen, like, it was just before the last patch, we had people flying into the New Deal with various small ships and just parking them on top of the M50 and all the rest of it. So, players will find a way. And I think the most interesting will be when we actually get a tank in.
Yeah. Oh, that would be fun. Especially for like the combat missions, because the hallways inside, they definitely looked big enough for a tank. And just
they look large, don't they?
Yeah, it looked really big. After. I mean, they have done like bigger bunkers in the last year. They introduced new, bigger bunkers and different layouts of bunkers. Yeah. But this is really next level, because you saw that hover forklift thing with 16 boxes on it or something like that.
Yeah, and then they'd shown a clip where some guy jumped off a balcony down into like a very large atrium area with plants and all the rest of it, and he was just shooting up guards or whatever. So I guess that was like raid gameplay or whatever. But it was cool just seeing how large it was. But I'm excited to, once the AI is a little bit more polished or the servers are a bit more stable, to see how far you can push stealth gameplay as well, like sneaking around behind things to get to their potential assassination targets or whatever, because I'm predominantly a solo player, so I'm interested to see how far I can push things. I know I won't be doing any of the major heists and things like that where you require like people watching points or whatever to keep guards off, and while you steal things out of their giant cargo racks or whatever. But it's I'm interested to see the potential for bounty or assassinations within the facility, and whether or not we're allowed to just bear arms in the social areas, because maybe like the two players have beef, or they're trying to chase a bounty down who's landed at the distribution center, and can you go into the bar and just pull a gun and the other guy hand solos it? I didn't shoot first, or I did shoot first, depending on your era. I don't know, But it's.
I mean, you also have, because they kind of showed this off at last year's CitizenCon, where you kind of have the public area, the lobby, the offices, that kind of stuff. Then you also have like the main manufacturing floor, which is the warehouses and all the big floors. But then they also showed off kind of the sub-level type stuff. So it's like various pipes and tubes and ventilation shafts where you can sneak in. And and plus they said that there's gonna be sort of lawless or unlawful distribution centers, like stuff that has been captured by Ninetales or whatever. So I think there is going to be even sort of lawful infiltration gameplay coming in with these, because like Skipster said, that there's 13 of these that are going to be in the verse with 323.
Okay.
At least one or two of those is going to be captured by some bandits or something. and they're gonna have some lawful missions, maybe assassination. I think that would be a very fun solo mission. Just gonna try and get in there and assassinate someone. But yeah, we'll see.
I mean, a bit of variety. Yeah,
Exactly.
a bit of variety to the standard bunker mission is greatly welcomed. Let's be honest, because there's only so many times you can run into the same 5 or 6 layouts of a bunker and kill 10 guys or 30 guys, however many you need to do. But it's when they brought in Ghost Hollow,
above everything else.
It's just I'm excited for the potential for even just the things they've mentioned in passing. And I'm concerned with how much is actually going to get into the game, but I think just the potential for the ideas of missions that they've even mentioned officially is exciting, because we get just that much more to do. And like going out to Orison onto those floating platforms is cool. And
I would like to see a floating
just more variety.
I hope they do it. I hope they make one of those. That's gonna be very fun. Because you're
City
gonna have
in the clouds.
like normally you would have like all the underground bits, but now it's gonna be like sub platforms, and there's gonna be like very precarious catwalks to sneak around on. That would be very interesting. But that's like a whole new set of assets, so I think that's gonna take a little while. And so
absolutely.
That being said,
I can't wait to be blown off a catwalk into Orison.
No,
thank you so much for having me.
Absolutely.
Loved it.
Anytime.
As always.
So I'm gonna drag you back up. Thank you very much for coming along.
No problem.
And we're gonna move on to the next caller. Thank you, and have a nice day.
And you.
So Joshua, for your question in the chat, they sort of described having this as a, I think they described at CitizenCon, they described several sort of archetypes and different examples of distribution centers. They said that it could be companies that do this, mining type thing, manufacturing, farming, but they also said there's going to be like military ones, like the UAE, Navy, or military having a distribution center for like logistics and stuff. So I think based on that set of information, I think we can actually say that there's probably going to be some official government, UAE government distribution centers. And really, when you think about it, the only thing that changes about when you change the company or the purpose of the center is kind of I forget what they call it. I think they call it a skin or something. Overlay. They call it an overlay. And for those of you who don't know how they do overlays with locations, is that they design the layout of a location, or they procedurally generate the layout of a location, and then to apply a certain style to that location. So like, it's a military location, or it's a corporate location, or it's an outlaw location. They apply the appropriate overlay, which populates that area with assets from the given asset set. So that's really all they have to do to create distribution centers of different factions or different styles. Just create an overlay, put some assets in there, and then you generate the mission set. So your military distribution center, it might be restricted by reputation. Like you can only go there if you have certain reputation with the defense force or with the UAE, and they said that you will be able to buy weapons in there, or certain vehicles or components that you wouldn't be able to buy anywhere else. Or it can be sort of like a UAE logistics location, and you will have hauling missions out of there. Like, we need this amount of resources to go to this other place because there's like a construction effort. And this really ties into the dynamic economy and all of this stuff where they can dynamically generate all of this. So I believe we have one more caller, and that is Lens Nation. So Lens Nation, I hope you're awake and ready to go. I'm going to put your name in there, and I'm going to drag you down and unmute. All right, welcome back, Lens Nation. You were here also for the dry run last week. How are you doing?
Oh, I'm great. Space, pretty awesome, bro. Thank you for having me. Appreciate it.
Absolutely. So, distribution centers. I know you had some thoughts, so please share with the class.
Well, I actually will say that because there were
And
two other
actually,
guys
before
before
you
me.
start, guys, you see all the overlays and the stream interfaces stuff and the logo and everything. Lens Nation did that. Really great guy, very talented. Thank you very much, sir. It looks awesome. And
Thank
I'm
you.
sure everyone will comment on this. Anyway, distribution centers, go ahead.
Thank you. Thank you. Yes, I do enjoy creating interfaces, and it's very nice to see your work on display. It's beautiful. The distribution centers is basically so because there were two guys just before me, and so I did not know a lot about them, but just listening to the conversation actually added to my information about them. However, because I'm a creative and my biggest pull, and I'm sure there are a lot of the people who play Star Citizen, their pull towards the Star Citizen game is how beautiful it is, the design aesthetics of the game, ships, be it buildings, different cities, the whole beauty of the game is a really big pull for me, even the space stations. The first thing that when I saw the distribution centers was like, this is beautiful.
Yeah.
Brutalist architecture, fantastic. The designers, the people who come up with these concepts, this is so good on such an amazing level that it's just is very satisfying for soul gameplay. Like, like for your soul, it just makes me happy that I'm gonna be visiting this kind of building. 100%, I'm up for that. So I really, the distribution centers, architecture design. That's what I'm looking forward to.
I didn't even
exploring them.
realize that it's brutalist architecture. It's everywhere around here. So some of you guys probably don't know. I live in Czech Republic. Everything is brutalist around here. Everything that was built before the 90s, which is pretty much everything. My building is brutalist. My neighborhood is brutalist. I did not even realize the distribution centers are brutalist architecture. But you're right. It's beautiful. I can't wait to look at it, explore, and just gonna take some photos, take some videos that they have.
Dude, it has become the norm for you, apparently. Brutalist architecture.
Yeah,
that's what has happened. Okay, and the next thing is that what I cannot wrap my head around is the scale of these things. I don't know how big they will be. And if they're as big as you were just talking about, I'm very happy with it. That's it. Like, if you're saying that you don't know, you might not even run into each other, that is like No Man's Sky talk.
Yeah.
So, but if they're that massive in scale, that is beautiful. That is great. I'm very happy with that.
I
That's
think
beautiful.
what they showed off in ISC, it's actually a little bit misleading on the actual scale, because they kind of showed off the main building and some sort of industrial refinery type stuff around it, but that's not all of it. There's going to be landing pads outside, there's going to be garages and stuff, but it's like an iceberg, really, because most of the volume and the space of the distribution center is underground. Like, it's an underground facility. That's what they said it's going to be.
Nice.
Plus, kind of a sprawling complex on the ground. So I think there's going to be a lot to explore, sort of space-wise, but I think there's also going to be a lot of variety in what you're going to see depending on, the overlay, the faction or the purpose of the distribution center.
No, this is just, and I think they mentioned that there are roads in these distribution centers going from one complex to another, or did I hear that wrong?
They mentioned that there's roads connecting the different buildings, but I imagine eventually when they figure out, because they started with VeeroTech, and they said like, oh, we can actually use this to make roads, and they're working on sort of converting that to make roads. So I think eventually they will figure out a way to build roads on planet surfaces, which I think is going to be very, very cool. I am very much looking forward to it, because it's going to be like, oh, you know what? I'm going to take a road trip, like do like a road trip around Vermont or something. That's going to be fun.
Well, I don't know. I mean, the scale of the game is so big that I don't actually miss roads, to be honest, because I'm always flying everywhere, so I don't really miss roads that much. And even if you think realistically, if the human civilization moves on to an era where you are actually flying everywhere, if that is the most feasible thing to do, you would try not to rely more on road networks. But of course, logistically, it will make sense because just like in real world, trains are cheaper, cargo ships are even cheaper than that. Air travel is most expensive. But humanity, if reaches that stage, that we are Type 3 civilization, and we can harness the flight power, that is the most practical thing to do. So I think Star Citizen 2953 is already at that place where the flight is the most feasible and the most cheap. Well, quantum is cheap,
Yeah.
right? Refueling is cheap. I believe.
Right now, it's cheap. But eventually, it's going to get expensive. But I think you really hit the nail on the head. Is that, no matter how advanced humanity is ever going to be, it's just going to be extremely cheap to put things on a train. Whatever you do.
I'm
like,
sorry, I'm
going to
stop you there.
Where the weather is too hard.
Imagine if these distribution centers had train stations and trains traveling on the planet. Oh my god, I want that now.
That would be great. Honestly,
I want that now.
It just
and you loot trains.
Oh yeah, it just reinforces the thing where distribution centers are, kind of the low-level mission areas for new players. So like, I don't know how to fly yet, but I would like to do some missions, explore a little bit. So, there's a train going to the distribution center and I can do missions there.
Yeah.
Cool. Yeah. That's perfect for new players.
Space, sometimes I wonder, sometimes I wonder that, like, I don't know the game development. But I do understand what Star Citizen is right now is already so far ahead of any other game. Be it complexity or whatever. I mean, the scale is massive. The game loops, the gameplay is not there, but the game loop systems are being implemented. I don't know what is feasible, what is not feasible. I'm saying trains. I want trains. I want to do missions on them. I don't know if in the developer's language that is ever going to be feasible, but I appreciate whatever there is. I never thought of having something like distribution centers in the game, but they're bringing it, so I'm very happy with that.
I mean, like I said, we're already, light years ahead of anything else. Whether that is the technology that CIG are developing for this game, and also with the content they are bringing in and the content they want to bring in. I mean, okay, there is sort of a hot take that distribution centers are just raid mechanics in Star Citizen, and that's technically correct, but that's not the only thing that it is. And I think CIG are really getting better at having multiple paths or multiple uses for one location. I think I mentioned this in a video at some point. And I think that's a very smart use of the assets and the gameplay and everything.
No, I think it's fantastic, but I'm going to go on a little bit of a tangent here with the distribution centers. And this thought, again, is coming right from the creative mind, the way I look at the game. Now, this I know is feasible. I will not like it if all the distribution centers on all the planets look the same. I will not. Yeah. Part of me will be unhappy with it. If they can just change the branding, they just did an episode on branding. Yeah. So even if they can change the posters, just a little bit of color feel to it, if they can implement that, I will very, very much appreciate it, just to distinguish that, okay, I'm an ARCOP, I'm not on Hurston, just to distinguish not just the armor of the guards there, but the building itself. If they can just add certain elements, that'll be great.
I think they already have it actually with the overlay system, where they can sort of change, not on the fly, but they can sort of very quickly customize a location from kind of the base structure to a sort of branded, I call it localized because I think that's the correct, localized for a certain type of a location. But I think they're eventually going to develop a sort of a diverse set of actually the base buildings for distribution centers, because right now I think they're all going to look sort of like the main structure is going to be same on so
I have a question for you based on the same thing that you just said. So we have two types of sort of underground bunkers, right? Just two kind of different structures, just slightly vary. The drug labs are slight variation on the assets used inside them. My question to you is, what do you think? distribution centers, will they have different layouts?
Yes.
Or they're just going to be one or two layouts? What do you think?
I think they're gonna have different layouts. I think I'm not sure if they mentioned it at CitizenCon or in SC Live, but they're going to. They basically have like the same procedural generation system for them as they have for space stations. So I think they actually have a very solid way to get them all different. I'm not sure if that's going to be the first release of distribution centers. I think the first release is probably going to be all of them look the same for sort of consistency and testing reasons. But as we move forward with the game with distribution centers, I think they're gonna eventually edit the layouts and make them all look different, because all of those distribution centers belong to different companies and they have a different purpose. So I think it would make sense to have a slightly different layout going on with them.
I know this for sure, like, and I know it that when the squadron releases and the Star Citizen starts to become the bigger child or the elder child, maybe it already is the elder child, that we will have different variations of the underground facilities. And I'm very sure even if they implement one single design for the distribution centers, I'm sure they will eventually distinguish them. They will eventually brand them separately. So that's okay. I'm happy to wait. I have waited this long. I'll wait a little bit more. So that's okay.
So before we continue, I'm gonna talk to the chat a little bit. So crafting, yes, I agree. We need crafting because a lot of the materials we have in game are not needed right now, and like no one's using them. I think crafting is going to come in with base building tier 0. I think that's going to be first thing. Like, oh, you can craft your own armor. I think that's going to be the first thing. They said it's going to be this year. I don't know if that's going to be 323 or beyond, but I think it's going to be beyond. But soon. And will there be tools or means for players or organizations to design and or commission their own distribution centers? Yes.
Interesting.
Technically, yes. Technically, yes, because that's going to be part of base building. I don't know if base building will let you build a distribution center specifically, but you will be able to build an outpost which can function as a distribution center for yourself or your org. I agree with Ben there. It's probably not gonna allow you to build something that big. But we'll see. We'll see when base building gets in. I'm very much looking forward to it. Where I think we have another caller lined up, but I know that you.
That's my mate.
I know you wanted to. I know we wanted to talk about the Idris event. I know you had some. I would like to hear.
I just wanted to. No. I just wanted to ask, like, has anybody found, like, even in the chat, like, has anybody been able to see Idris? Because we really tried yesterday, we couldn't find it. Has anybody seen it? Like, anybody came across?
I have not. I have tried. I tried for like 3 hours yesterday, and I didn't.
Okay, I just wanted to use your platform and exploit it for that. And I understand there's a lot of anger right now happening. There's a protest going on. Like, is that true?
Well, if you believe Spectrum, like, you know me, you know I compulsively read Spectrum to see what people are upset about. And Spectrum is on fire, but to be fair, Spectrum is on fire pretty much 6 days of the week. Depends who you ask. Personally, I think what CAG are doing is a good attempt. And, I think they're going to use it as a learning experience for future events. And, even if you don't... Look, guys, even if you don't see the Idris right now, it doesn't matter. You're going to see it at the IAE. It's going to be there. They have it ready. They're going to put it in there.
Oh my, that will be awesome. But my take on this is that, well, they didn't even have to do it.
Exactly.
Right? Nobody was really asking, give us an Idris flyby. We want to capture it. So sometimes I think CIG kind of create their problems for themselves, but I don't think it's a wrong thing to do. Yeah. They didn't even have to do this. They still decided to do it. I mean, I know how hard it is to just put a stream together, like how much technical hassles we have to go through to just do this, right? We did the dry run, and it's an Idris flying in Star Citizen.
Exactly.
And if things don't go according to the plan, so what? At least they're guys that bring in the content to you.
Yeah.
I'm happy with it. I didn't even have the issue with the gold tickets for the Lightning. Man, they are trying, and I have been playing it since 2018. I have not seen this pace. And this is already too much.
There's a lot. This year is going to be very dynamic. Also, I know you told me no
This is great.
stimulants on the stream, but the coffee smells too good. I can't. I'm sorry.
Thank you so much for this opportunity to talk, and I
Absolutely.
really appreciate it.
Happy to
Thank
have
you,
you
Space.
anytime.
Thank you.
I'm going to drag you back up,
Thank
and we're going to move on to our
Cheers.
next caller. All right. Thank you. Have a good one.
Kiosa. All right. Cheers. Bye-bye.
All right, guys. So I see chat is taking off. Well, Macho, interesting question on like travel times and stuff. I think, will there be QT markers to player built locations if you choose to? I think that's going to be very much a choice of the builder, where they're going to build a quantum marker on there. I think that should be sort of a separate structure, or it should be kind of a feature of the claim beacon, or like, oh, okay, you have a quantum beacon on this claim right now. We will see how sort of the base rebuilding and base defense works. I'm very curious to see how CH is going to balance this, because so far we haven't really. They have kind of showed off the, oh, you can build some mining equipment or some farms or some pumps, that kind of stuff. They haven't really showed off like how you're going to defend this, how combat is going to work. But we'll see. I'm very curious to see it. Plus, I think Stanton's going to be one of those high security locations where you're going to have a planetary shield and no one's going to be able to destroy your stuff. But Pyro is probably coming this year, and Pyro is going to actually have, unlawful or lawless outposts where, oh, there's only what you build and whoever comes to defend it for you. So we'll see. I'm very, very much looking forward to it. Anyway, before I go off on too much of a tangent, we have one more caller. That's Kiosa. So Kiosa, please wake up. I hope you're awake, and I'm gonna just type your name in there. Okay, I spelled that right, I think. And I'm gonna drag you down here, and unmute. All right. Good morning, Kiosa, and welcome. How are you doing?
Good morning. I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing great. So, distribution centers. Your thoughts, your fears, your concerns, and what are you excited about?
I'm really excited. I'm really excited. Thanks for having me on. I woke
Absolutely.
up it's 4 a.m. where I am. I wanted to make sure I got my opinions on the show. I have a lot to
I
say.
appreciate the dedication. I really appreciate
Oh,
it.
thank you. I don't really have a lot to say. I am very excited though. So one thing I really like about this game, outside of everything, because this is the best game of all time, is the cities. I think the cities are so great, and like I spend a lot of time in the cities, more than you would think, or more than you probably should, because there's nothing to do. Because they're just great, and I think distribution centers are going to be really cool because they're going to be like small cities that you can actually do missions in, and there's something actually to do, which I think is going to be really exciting. I hope they add like a little bit more just to like do getting it from one complex to another.
Yep.
But I think it's gonna be really great to, especially with like how spread out the player base is. That's like one of my bigger complaints in the game is how spread out. Sometimes you don't see people a lot. You'll go like an hour without seeing another player. I think that's insane. So it'd be really cool to just be like, okay, I'm doing a bounty, or I'm doing a bunker, or I'm doing, a delivery mission, and this guy is doing something entirely different, but we're still going to see each other and we're still going to get to interact a little bit. And hey, how was the bounty you just did? You're turning it in. Oh, it's cool.
Yeah. And you actually see this in the cities where people. I see it a lot in cities where like you're on the tram and people are talking on proximity chat. So you already see this, but it's very much limited to cities, because those kind of funnel you in to choke points like trams and elevators and that kind of stuff. And people talk when they're in there. Uh, I'm very curious to see if distribution centers do the same thing. Yeah, that was my point actually.
Yeah, I know exactly what you mean. It's like it is kind of a choke point. The city is like for the RPers almost, you could say. Like I was in the Orison bar like last week, and I was just doing pictures, and somebody just walked up to me and they were like, "Are you doing pictures?" And I was like, "Yeah." And they were like, "Can I be in some?" And I was like, "Yeah, definitely." Like
Absolutely.
so, yeah, more places where we get to do stuff like that, I think will be really good for the game and for the community as a whole, and just the content that the game has. Like, yeah.
Yeah. I think. Okay, so do you have any concerns about distribution centers? I know there is a lot of sort of fear mongering going on around in the Star Citizen community regarding distribution centers and how the different missions are going to interact. What are your thoughts on this?
I don't, not really. Like, to be honest, I kind of stay a decent ways away from the news of the of Star Citizen
Smart.
project itself. Yeah, I don't want to get wrapped up in what everybody else gets wrapped up, and it happens to me a lot. Like, I have a really bad problem where, like, I'll either watch a video, or like I'll read an article and I'm like, oh, that's so bad. Why? And then, then I don't want to play. So I just wait, and I let these things come into the game, and then I just experience them myself. And then, if I want to cover it, I'll cover it. I don't really have a lot of fears in general about anything Star Citizen does, because they could do all the right stuff, and all the wrong people are still going to find a way to do the wrong things. They could do all the wrong things, and all the right people are still going to find a way to do the cool shit. So, like, I don't really, I don't, I mean, I have a lot of problems with bugs, and, the
It's alpha.
problems we have.
Yeah.
Yeah, but what they add, I'm just happy they're adding more.
Yeah.
Like, the faster they add more, it's a sandbox. The more they give us to
Yeah.
do, the more we'll figure out what to
Exactly.
do. Yeah.
And just because CAG says something right now about something that's going to get implemented, in a year or two or however long, that doesn't mean they're not going to change their minds. Plus, as they add new things and people find ways to exploit these new things, that's the only way, that's learning experience for CAG. That's the only way they're going to fix this in the other systems and everything else. I think that's kind of the core of everything in Star Citizen. Like, oh yeah, it's an alpha. It's all a learning experience. It's for us players, for me as a content creator, and generally for CIG as the company responsible for this whole thing.
Yeah. And I don't think that's a bad thing. Like, not to get too much into the alphabet, but, like, I think are we not having fun testing?
I'm having
Like,
fun.
is it
Are you having
exactly?
fun?
Like, yeah, I'm having a lot of fun. I mean, I've been playing this game for like 2 years, and I mean, some of my favorite, like, content clips I've gotten, or like funny moments, are just like the craziest bugs of all time. Like, for example, I got pulled out of my ship randomly the other day. Ship just disappeared, and I got relocated 624 times.
Nice.
It was one of the funniest things that happened in the game. Complete bug. It actually stole some of my armor, but, like, it was funny. It's a good time.
No, my funniest thing was we were flying around in a Karak, and someone exiting Quantum at the same position we happened to be flying through rammed us accidentally into, how you have the Quantum exit animation.
Oh my God,
And
yeah.
that put us into a spin so fast, it just sent us into a different dimension.
Oh my God.
It was beautiful. Uh, yeah. Anything else you would like to mention about distribution centers?
No, I'm just excited to get them into the game and go exploring.
Absolutely, me too. I hope we're gonna see them soon, but right now the talk in the grapevine is sort of mid-April for 323, and we don't even know if it's gonna be, in the main release, or if it's gonna be an X release, or we really don't know anything right now, and which is kind of sad. But that's kind of how it goes with Star Citizen. You don't know anything until you know everything, and I think that's beautiful.
It's very true. Very true.
So yeah, I think with that, I think we're gonna see if we have any more callers. Thank you very very much for joining us this early in the morning. I
Thank you
would
for having me.
absolutely anytime. So I'm gonna drag you back up again. Thank you very much, and you have a great rest of the day.
Thank you. You too.
Thank you. All right, guys. I think that was actually all our callers. So I think I'm just gonna take a minute to talk about distribution centers in general. So as you might have judged from the entire stream or the video, if you're watching this after the fact, I am very excited about this. This is new content. It's gonna be new missions. It's gonna be very good new player content, in my opinion. But we'll see how it works with the sort of mixing of missions. If you have watched my previous video on missions and stuff and distribution centers, you will know that I have some concerns about mixing different styles of missions in one location at the same time. But I think CAG are aware of this. And we'll figure out some kind of a balance. Yeah, but we'll see. We'll see how it goes. And how is it going, Kendra? Are you going to be joining us as a caller? We still have room if you want to join us as a caller. Anyway, so yeah, I like I said, I am very excited about distribution centers. We will see how the implementation goes. I can't wait to get my hands on them. But let's hope they're going to be in the main 3.22 release. Though I think the big ticket item in that is going to be master modes. And we're going to be talking about master modes probably in 2 weeks on the show. So, you know, get yourself ready for that. And yeah, what else? Right. So since I don't think we have any more callers coming in, I'm just going to do some housekeeping and say, number one, so the Comm relay, very much a new concept that I'm testing. So far, I'm having a lot of fun with this. I can't wait to see how the new cargo missions are going to work and wondering if they will be bringing out new mining missions. So the hauling missions, they should be in 3.23. The mining missions, I don't think they said when that is going to come or if at all. I know they just kind of mentioned that it's a possibility that they're going to do it, but I don't think they have committed to any specific area on that. Anyway, back to what I was talking about. So the Comm relay, it's going to be every 2 weeks type of a show. We're going to have one slot at this time, so it's going to be morning EU time, and then we're going to have the second slot that's going to be sort of early afternoon US time, because I like my sleep, guys. I know people on the internet say that I don't sleep. I just go in the closet and plug myself in. But no, I actually like sleeping, so I'm hoping to not stay up too late on things. So it's going to be, like I said, it's going to be every 2 weeks, one EU time, one US time. The recording of this is going to get uploaded straight to YouTube. That's why I'm streaming it on YouTube. So it just goes straight in and you can watch it whenever you are ready. And yeah, I think that's going to be it for today. So thank you all who joined us on the call. If you would like to join us as a caller on the next show, join the Armory Discord, link in the description. When it's time for the show to start, be in the waiting room voice channel, get yourself set up, and I'll get you in as a caller when I get to you. And yeah, and with that being said, I think that's all for tonight. Again, thank you all in the chat. Thank you all who are watching. Thank you all who will be watching the recording, and especially thank you all the callers. Then have a good night, Kendrith. But I appreciate you joining us for the last call there. So yeah, thank you all for watching. Thank you all for calling in. And yeah, fly safe. Thank you for watching. And I will see you in the verse. Goodbye.